happy Friday and welcome to Aaron and Zach's Better Than Mediocre Rafting Show. This is a show we do every Friday at 2 o'clock, and we haven't been on for a few weeks. And I think our summer's been busy for both Aaron and I, so we're probably back now, hopefully for the winter. Hopefully we don't have to take too many weeks off. We're back on a regular schedule. This is a show where we just talk about rafting, and Aaron and I argue, and people get mad, and that's about it. And,
we try to offend every single rafter that's out there on every show. I feel like that's our goal. It's just to, at some point.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm trying to offend everybody, but I probably am. The fun thing about what I like about the show is like Aaron and I go back a long ways and guided and boated a ton together. I don't think we can really. We've tried to offend each other off and on air, and I don't know if we can, or we've done it so much in the past that it's really can't. We really can't offend each other. So we'll try to keep it to just offending each other. The thing with this show that's really cool is Aaron and I would talk about this stuff anyway. So we do this on air so people can comment. And it's more fun for us if people jump in and give us their thoughts, because we're usually wrong. And so we'd love to have everybody else's correct thoughts. Correct what we say. Yeah, because we say a lot of stupid things that are just completely wrong. And that's why we're not an awesome show. We're just better than mediocre.
But we're up to better than mediocre again. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
We were floundering down, with like pretty bad for a while. But
it's pretty bad. The sandwich days. I thought you weren't going to make it because you just joined a minute ago. I thought we were going to go back to below mediocre because you couldn't use a watch, but it turns out you can. So we're good. So let's just get into it. Like and subscribe, all that stuff if you want. Probably shouldn't though, because they get more notifications about this terrible show.
Oh, come on. Let's go. Just go for it all. Ring the bell.
Ring the bell. Ring the bell. So Aaron sent me this video. I haven't watched it yet, so we're just going to go into this. And again, this show is video review. So the whole point of what we're doing generally is looking at videos. And Aaron, you've seen this. Oh, there's a swimmer already.
Yep, there's a swimmer out. Yep. There we go. We're going for the throw bag.
Oh, is this a boat? Oh, am I going to get advertised? Okay. This is a boat throw bag, which we both agree is a terrible idea.
Oh, yep, and not even a good boat throw bag.
You missed. The person probably couldn't see it. Now you have a rope just dangling in the boat. Luckily, nobody got strangled by it.
Yep, still out there.
Now, who's holding it? That's what I'm wondering. Oh, one of the guests is holding it. Awesome.
That's a good idea. That's actually a good idea to delegate the responsibility so you can start guiding the boat again. That's actually, and get the boat out. Yeah.
Now that guest has a different colored back head float, so maybe that's like a training guide or something. But by the way they're paddling, I don't think so. They're just holding on.
Maybe that's and then he's got bumped from behind. That's nice.
So here's what they should have done to begin with instead of throwing the rope: is just go get the person.
Yeah.
Right. This is the method. Do not throw the. Oh, jeez. Oh man. Is the rope really going to help here? No. Nope. Oh, throw it to him again. Now they're in the strainer. Awesome.
Yeah.
And the person's in the strainer on a rope. Damn, where'd you find this, Aaron? This is amazing.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, I got lucky. Yeah, YouTube suggested I watch this. It was a suggested content, and I must say, yeah. So like, I think most of our guests by now know that our feeling about throwing throwbacks from rafts. We don't like to use the word never or always, but if you're throwing a throwback from the boat, you're probably making the wrong decision. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of like you said, an obvious one. And even at the end there, where you threw the throwback again, and the guy, they just even extending the paddle tee and pull him to the boat. There's a lot of good ways to get him in. So yeah, that didn't seem like the best option. I think that's all that I watched of it was through that point to the strainers. Maybe there's more stuff going on, but I never watched the rest of it, Zach. I just watched through there. So how much longer does this video go?
It's like 25 minutes. This could be the whole show. So I think the one thing I think about is with proper boat spacing, you can have swimmers and get to them. And so the solution there might have been to blow your whistle so the boat ahead was aware there's a swimmer, and the boat ahead could slow down so that what's going on here?
We're getting the paddle back.
So I think what I think is like, I'm not a big fan of blowing whistles. right? I would try to get the other attention, like, hey, Aaron, I got a swimmer. Can you grab him? Or if that doesn't happen, just a quick whistle and just point, right over a strainer I just went over. Anyway, like pointing to the swimmer so that you know there's a swimmer, and then they're stuck on a log. This video is gold. Are they about to wrap them? They're wrapping on the log and they're flipping on the log.
Oh no! The video and an ad. Zach, how are we supposed to get rid of the ads? Okay, go back.
I gotta pay for YouTube Premium so it doesn't happen. Oh, this is gold. Wait, can we go back? I'm not even sure what happened there. And I want to talk about just to give my complete thoughts on this, because I feel like this is so good. Okay, hold on. So I think this is a key point to me, and what I teach in a lot of our classes is boat spacing and order is just critical. And the boat, people are afraid to get too close because they'll hit each other. Well, I mean, that's a consideration, but also, I'd rather hit somebody in front of me once in a while, one out of every 30 days. It's going to happen. Than be so far apart that if I have a swimmer, they're just gone, right? And swimmers generally move faster than rafts. So if a swimmer falls out of your raft, you can't catch them. It's just hard. Whereas the boat downstream is the catcher's mitt. And so I'm going to try to, and ideally that guy in front of me is looking back every so often, looking for swimmers on their own, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean,
Aaron,
I'm gonna say to give them credit, I thought their boat spacing was actually pretty good. Like they were all pretty close, like awesome. The one
exactly.
I thought they had good boat spacing, and that boat downstream I think might have been able to pick them up, and like they were all within there. I think like overall the whole scene was actually a pretty good scene. Just aren't excited about that throw bag getting tossed versus just getting with them a boat.
The only thing, Aaron, is that the boat downstream should have got that swimmer.
I think the boat could have probably, but their boat could have got it too, like got him pretty quickly. Instead of going for the throwback right away, hey, you stay guiding and call command. Like having said that, those boats are look pretty heavy, and they might do that. Wow, Willie Bum Bum, great idea. The Willie Bum Bum approach. Yeah, if you tie your throwback to a D-ring always, then you don't have to hold on to it, manage it.
Yeah, but I don't think that makes it okay.
No, I don't think he's serious. I hope Willie Bum Bum is not serious. Because Willie Bum Bum has a lot of insight, and so maybe he's thinking something, but I think it's sarcasm.
I mean, I think Willie Bum Bum is one of our most astute viewers. So let's not be serious, Willie Bum Bum. I am going to disagree with that one. I would say just don't do it.
Zach, I think he's joking. I think he's like, tie your throwback to a D-ring and just throw the throwback.
Looks like high water. Maybe, in India. It's not always high water in India, but it's probably high water. Astute. Astute. A-S. Never mind. Willie Bum Bum, you're killing me. All right. So
let's go back.
Let's watch this. This is exciting. Hold on. We got to do the. So is this a tree? Yeah, it's a tree. They're right up on the tree. The bow starts to catch water. It wants to wrap on it because they're not high siding. Somebody looks like is giving a signal. The lack of a high side here means it's.
And even when it goes in, no one does anything. They just hang on until they flip it.
Brutal.
Maybe it's a flips for tips situation where they do that on purpose there.
This is not on purpose. So now the guy needs to get on the boat. Yeah. I mean, we talked about.
Oh, slippers. Oh, look, flip flops.
Flip flops. Got to get the.
Is that a guide flip flop?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a guide flip flop. So this thing we talked about before is: do you count the swimmers or do you jump on the boat?
Well, how does it help you to count the swimmers right now? Okay, so if you count, let's just say you count 6 and there's 8. What do you do?
Oh, everybody's hanging on the same place. It makes it really hard for a guide to get on.
It's like they're trying to there's no holes in it. That's gonna be really tough. I think that's a really tough boat to get over on the side, buddy. Yeah, there we go. The life jackets look pretty loose there for some of them. And
is that rope wrapped around his neck? There's a rope wrapped around his neck. That's the throwback I was talking about.
Yeah, they never got stuff back in. Oh boy.
This isn't a fatality video because that rope around the neck is worrisome, right? Because that rope could catch on one of the pieces of wood on the river, and that guy's.
That's just not good.
This is where the throwback, it goes from like getting somebody out of the water that's like wasn't a danger to now somebody is in serious danger. They're attached to a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got to get around. And this is the.
I would get that rope off that guy. Your first priority is deal with that rope. Look at that. I don't care if he's on the boat.
There we go. Get up to the holes. Yeah, there you go. And I think he's.
And then this is the boat spacing thing. The other boats should be right there.
They were right there. They were all around. Good job, Katie, pulling up. That's a good job pulling up. Good job. Nice. You got it, buddy.
Wow.
That's like the best way to get up. But I think I was going to say, Zach, I think one of the things here is if you practice flipping boats, you know that you're not going to get up on the ends and just swim to the side and get yourself up on the side. He spent all that time trying to get up on the side. Yeah, flip line, Peter Gonzalez, would be great. Totally.
You mean like those Everest dangle lines?
No, he's talking about along the bottom of the boat flip line.
Oh, yeah.
But it looks like he's got a flip line set up to flip it already. Oh, look at that. He's already got it. Wow, that was pretty quick.
Personal flip line. And now
I'm surprised he tried to climb up at the end.
And see, this is where their rope is so loose around the boat, which is a common problem. So you can't use it to get in really because it's so loose. Looks like he stepped on he has his flip line. He's stepping his flip line or something. This is where the other boat comes in.
I'm a big fan. I'm going to say I'm a big fan of in this situation, have someone from the other boat, even a guest, jump in that boat and start pulling people in.
Yep.
Yeah, just like it.
There you go.
There you go. There it is. Yeah, great job. I'm going to say they do a lot. Yeah, they do a lot of things well. I think you watch these situations, they do a lot of things well.
I wonder what the audio is right now.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about this video too. Is that
nice Converses.
In India, there's not probably liability. This is just a fun day on the river. But this probably happens in the U.S. once in a while, but nobody's going to share this video. Right?
Oh, man, look at that life jacket. Look at that life jacket. Oh, that's one that's going to get pulled right off of him as you're trying to pull him in.
If the PFD comes off, this is just like the trifecta of things you should do. Oh, I've never seen this actually happen.
Oh,
is it going to come off?
He's...
Oh, looks like it hurts.
Oh.
Turn around. Backwards technique.
Grab by the arms backwards. There you go. Oh, boy. Yep. No.
Where are they going to get it?
There you go. Holding on to the life jacket. Yeah, that's good to know. That looks like that worked well. There you go.
Pulling people backwards is a thing. I've done it.
Yeah, I remember.
It really works.
I remember when I used to work at an outfitter I used to work for. They made everyone turn around backwards to pull them because your buckles don't get stuck on the side, and it does work well to pull people in. Having said that, taking the time to spin them around to pull them in backwards doesn't work so well a lot of times because people don't want to let go of the boat. And then
if you're already backwards, if you're already backwards, I'm just going to grab them and pull them in.
Yeah, exactly.
Like sometimes you paddle up to them, and you're just going to I'll have my paddle go up to them. I'll run to the front and just grab them by the back and pull them in. I'm not.
And that's nice. And then when you pull them in, they sit in the boat better when you pull them that way. Like they're sitting face up instead of like all plastered down and can't breathe and face stuck against the bottom of the boat. Yeah. So
Peter, the rope.
It's still around his neck.
It's hard to tell if people are being sarcastic. I don't have a sarcastic meter today, but no, it's not. I don't think it's standard practice anymore.
No, I think he's saying the standard practice with the throw bag, I think it is. I've seen that before.
That's the throw bag that was in the boat that didn't get coiled.
Yeah, I think Peter's question is it common practice, standard practice to throw bags from rafts? And it seems like we've seen enough of these videos where they are throwing throw bags from rafts. It seems like it's a go-to technique.
Somebody there is teaching them that. It's not an IRF standard practice. And a lot of Indian guides have IRF training.
But I think part of it is those boats are so heavy and they got so many people in them and they're terrible paddlers that going to get people is challenging. And that might be a better option for them in a lot of ways.
Maybe. I don't think it's a good idea. Yeah, throw back other line backwards helps with buckles. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Well, it looks like they're just having a good old time now on a reservoir.
Yeah, it looks like they had a great trip. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, look. Group photo, the whole thing. So today's show, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a little bit of video review, really bump. We're going to get to this, the standard practice of different rafts. Yeah, it might be for them. I don't know if they do in all of India. So for this show, what we're going to do is I have a listener, a Gear Garage listener, who sent me a bunch of topics for Gear Garage videos, and I can't really do them because I don't like know the answers. Like, so I only do Gear Garage videos if I know the answers. Like, a typical Gear Garage would be like, why pins and clips are better than Orlocks. That's easy, right? But some of the stuff I don't know the answer, so I need help from those of you watching, and also Aaron, you probably help too. And so I'm going to do a couple questions in a video, and we'll call that the show.
Sounds great.
And so the first one, Aaron, is oar wraps. How to do them and why not use the plastic ones?
Oar wraps. Oh man, I think we were using a long time ago. We did this, and you're using like fiberglass, like resin. You're putting resin on the oar, and then you're wrapping the rope around it, and the resin kind of holds it to the oar. Does that make sense?
It's like a plastic or epoxy, I think.
Well, yeah, like epoxy. Yeah, epoxy resin, fiberglass resin. Yeah, either one. Yeah, you use a resin. You put a thin. I believe when we did before, we put a thin layer of resin on, and then you wrapped the rope around, and the resin held the rope to the oar. But then you like tie it off to the rope. You do like a kind of a knot. You like tuck it under and like pull it back through underneath or something like that. I'm trying to remember.
I gotta tell you, every time I've ever seen somebody rope wrap themselves, it comes undone. And I've rarely seen a third one come undone. So I'm gonna say, get it done by a manufacturer. Like it's really hard to do this.
I'm gonna say Billy's partner Curtis did a great job on the ones, the Arda oars way back when. Curtis Newell, he did a great job, and they
never came undone.
No, the oars all broke before it came undone. No, they did. It worked out well. But then once you do the wrap, then a lot of people will want to put wax on, like paraffin wax on the actual rope to make it. I don't understand the paraffin wax, what it's supposed to do. Well, anyway,
all I know is it's a pain, and this is one of those things where like I think the average person should just have it done by a manufacturer.
Well, and I'll say the other problem too is a lot of the oars that you're going to try to wrap yourself are too big in diameter, and then you wrap them, and then they're way too big. And so that was a problem that we noticed doing it ourselves, was that.
Well, oars at Arda, you guys had those thicker wood oars to start. Most people don't buy those thick wood oars. Yeah. Most people are buying normal oars these days, and not just big stouts. The other question is, why not use the plastic ones? Like, what's wrong with the plastic? Why don't we just have some plastic sleeve?
Well, I don't think the plastic, because the wood, it's not going to fit the wood oar very well. You're going to have to get it on the wood oar. Do you have plastic sleeve?
Just make a plastic sleeve instead of rope wrapping. And
because all wood oars are a little different diameter. They're not all exactly the same.
What about like carbon fiber oars? We have rope wraps in our carbon oars.
I think the rope wrap is like nicer actually for rowing with locks than the plastic.
I think it's classier. It looks cooler. I think the rope wrap looks cooler.
And I think it's nicer too. It holds a little bit more. It doesn't like the plastic. It's all over the place. More. Yeah, it's got a little bit of more friction there with the rope wrap.
I mean, this is really bumming your whole Spinnies for Life thing. That's cool. I mean, I trust me. I like Spinnies too. They're not that bad. But this is where pins and clips are so nice, because with oar locks, don't forget you have to wrap this rope around your oars. You have to tie your oar to the boat. All these uncivilized things, right? Pins and clips, you don't have to.
Okay, but Zach, do you bring pins and clips when you do road trips?
No.
Why not? Because locks are better on the Rogue.
Sure, I'll accept that. And the middle fork. I've been enjoying rowing Spinnies on the middle fork. Like that kind of stuff. But anyway, I don't want to get in pins and clips versus oar locks. But I don't know why we would do this. I'm just saying that like you don't have to rope wrap with pins and clips. I love my Sawyer rope wrap and stop oars. I wax on beeswax. Yeah, I think the Sawyers.
Okay, so what is the? I don't understand the wax part. Does the wax make it stickier? Like wax makes it stickier, right? It makes it not move as easily. And why is that better? I never understood the wax. I've never waxed my oars ever.
I think it keeps it maybe like feels good, and it just keeps the rope supple. It's not just like we have really dry ropes, and I think it's just a nice surface for it to glide on.
Keeps the ropes from breaking down, like protects them.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. We're going to be here all day on this one topic. Surf whack makes it super smooth. Okay. Frame measurement. How to measure maximum length on a gear boat. How much bow and stern floor space should be left open? Well, I think he's asking, how long should your gear boat be?
The frame versus the gear boat, it sounds like.
Frame.
So you're talking the ratio.
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
ratio. So basically, I would say is like it like my basic rule is like the flat part is where you want your frame to be, and when it starts to go up, you don't want your frame on the parts that are going up in general, as a general casual rule. And the other
No,
thing
they
I'd say,
can. They
they
can. I mean,
can,
they can.
yeah.
And like I did that 16-foot wing boat I designed that's like an Avon Pro. The rocker starts very subtly early, so it's like a little bit at the start. Like we go over that by 6 inches, it doesn't matter. So you don't have to only do the
No,
flat spot.
it's rough, but I'd say
But
roughly that's where you
yeah,
want it to
yeah,
be.
it's a good
And then in
rule of thumb.
general, you want more of your weight towards the middle of the boat, right? So it turns easier. Like this is physics here, where we talk about momentum and your lever arm. Basically, like the farther out the weight is, the harder it is to turn it. It's going to take a lot more energy to turn it. So you want your weight towards the middle of
There's
your
more
boat.
rotational inertia.
Thank you,
So
rotational inertia.
you want less. You want more weight on the inside. So like the further the weight is out from you, the more energy it takes to get it started, and the more once it started, the more energy it takes to slow it down. So you're more efficient rowing if your weight is interior. So when he asks like how much stern and floor space, how much bow and stern floor space should be open, I mean, you don't have to leave any open.
I think we can talk examples. Like you go, if you're wearing a baggage boat for Outdoors Unlimited on the Grand Canyon, everything is like the whole way. They've got those frames on the front and the back, and they've got gear all the way through it. And there's one person rowing. They're not planning to have any people on it. So I think, the variables are how many people do you want to have running in it? Do you, like that's a big issue.
How much stuff do you want to bring?
Yeah.
Like if do you want to have a massive gear boat and full of everybody's stuff, or is this just your stuff?
Yeah, no. Right? I mean, and then how big you want that bay in the middle. I think another big variable too is like the length, how much space you want in your like drop area between, like, let's say you're sitting on your cooler and you've got a box in front of you. Do you want to be able to just put your foot and be able to push off that box and be able to row easily, and use that as a kick, or not? I think that's a big thing too. So I basically would be like, I would just want a frame that has like my cooler, and then I've got my drop area for me to stand in, and then someplace close enough for me to kick with a box in it. And then the question is, do you want your people to stay on the box? If your boat's long enough, then you could put have a drop bag or something up front or a thwart up front that people can sit on to give you more space. I just get concerned about where the locks are. I mean, making sure the locks definitely aren't running. When they run front of center, I feel like it's weird. So I want them back of center a little bit. Or your pins. Or your pins if you're running pins and clips. What do you mean it's hard to have a back of center?
It's hard to have a front. It's hard to have a front of center. Like very few oar frames are set up where the locks are front of center.
No, I think it's bad.
Sometimes they get really far back. Your ideal goal is center, but I think the thing is, when you think about bays, you want to have enough. If you have passengers, you want enough space between yourself and the passengers so that when your oars go forward, you probably won't hit them. And that's why. So like, but that's what makes oars pins go so far back, because it's like rower. It's a typical frame thing is like rower, like your bay where the pins are, the oar locks, and then some space, and then a place that somebody sits, so that they're not sitting right in front of that like drop area, and the oars can't go and smack them in the back if you make a mistake.
But I will say that, Zach, if you do just do it without the front area, so if you've just got like your like basically your cooler and your box, and you've got your bay in between, you can have people sit on the outside tube in front of the box in front. You don't have to have them sit on top of the box.
Yeah, no, it's just not. People like sitting on the tube.
Oh yeah,
that's the thing.
So there's a couple of good questions.
So let me ask this really quick, and then because I think this goes back to the question he was asking: how much stuff do you put on the front and rear floor? And I think a really good rule of thumb is try to get the weight on your tubes and not have weight on the floor, because if weight's on the floor, it's going to hit rocks and potentially pop the boat, right? And it just acts funny. So you want to try to have all of your weight on the tubes as you can. That's why putting on the frame is good, but that's where these like gear floors are nice, because you can put stuff on the gear floor and that moves the weight to the tubes. All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry to
No, I totally agree. And I think the other part is the boats track better when you have the weight on the outside tubes than when the weight's on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say I'm not a big fan of the gear pullers in the stern and the bow because they usually weigh a lot and they're a lot of weight. And I want all my weight more in the middle of my boat. And so stuff I'm putting in the stern and the bow is like dry bags and stuff like that in my lighter dry bags, ideally. And so I'm, like when we used to work Tuolumne trips, we used to stuff our back full of dry bags. I don't really want a floor underneath there every time they have to deal with. I mean, would you wanted to have a drop floor there? That's it too.
I mean, I think that's between. I think on the Tuolumne, it was just like we just don't want to have to rig these drop floors every week or every 2 days. It's just stuff. So like when we had bags on the floor, we just dealt with it. We just like got out and muscled those boats down the river. I think the average person, for best practices, it's kind of nice to have it because it gets the weight off the floor. Dry bags also probably aren't going to pop a floor, right? Yeah. The problem is people put stuff back there that could pop a floor. Like if you need to put propane back there or a cooler, you don't want to rest a cooler on the floor either because that's hard. So it depends what you're rigging. I think.
Come on, we used to run coolers on the floor all the time down there.
Yeah, but we were careful about it. We didn't do it that much. Like right on the floor.
Yeah, lunch coolers.
Yeah, we did a little bit.
We used to always or paddle combo, drop one kind of in front of you on the fly. The cooler, I think the coolers are soft. Like I'm much more worried about the metal boxes and the propane and the groovers and that stuff. I would say, like I hear you at the cooler and I mean, having said that, in Mill Fork, I've seen holes on in Idaho because you're running really soft, and then you catch a cooler and it pinches or something. So that is true. Yeah. And
I have what we have here up on a shelf back that we've been using on the Middle Fork this year are soft floors. So it's just like a fabric, and it hangs, and that way it can punch up. It's super easy to put in, and it's not just a big board you got to carry everywhere, right? These big boards are just annoying to travel with.
What are you using instead?
They're soft floors. We call them soft decks, and it's just like a fabric with straps that go up. So
why even do that? Is it going to end up pushing down the floor anyways? No, you're going to have to have it way high, or you're going to have to have your weight way higher, which makes your center of gravity a lot worse.
No, they work great. The way they're designed, they work great. And that way, like when we're doing a lot of low water deadheads, right? And
do you have some photos of this?
I have them up there, but I don't want to pull them down. But let's say you have to deadhead in a raft. Ideally, I'm going to put the raft on the table on the frame, right? But if I have so much stuff, you don't want to put the raft on the floor. You'd hang it from the soft deck instead. And then the soft deck, just when you're done deadheading, it wraps up small and you just shove it in a box somewhere. You don't have this big board. So it's a nice in between. It's just a temporary thing.
Yeah, okay.
It's simple. Also we're flying stuff into. I really want to fly in more hard decks on airplanes and spend a bunch of money, or these really light, small things that we can just use for these trips we're doing right now.
Well, why not just bring less stuff that's hard so you're not worried about it?
Well, we do that, but you still have to bring stuff, Aaron. We flew a trip in this morning or yesterday, and they didn't have a sweep boat. So they have all the groovers, they have drink cooler, they have all the things. You got to have decks for that stuff. Anchor choice.
I mean, is that like a drop bag basically?
No, it's exactly like a back deck we're talking about. It's just soft instead of hard.
Mm-hmm. Wait, don't you put groovers in drops?
No.
Drop bags?
No.
I mean, that's what we do. Drop bags with groovers in them and lots of hard stuff in drop bags.
Well, Aaron, you're amazing. We're still learning. Thanks. I'm gonna have to take notes from.
And then you just have a little thin slide pad in there to, just like this little thin slide pad to protect the floor.
We have the Selway toilets, which don't.
Selways are nice because they're all the plastic. Yeah, those are really nice.
So the metal rocket boxes you can do that with. It's hard to do with the Selways. But we have one of these decks in the back, these hard decks, and they sit on the hard decks, right? Or they sit on the soft deck well too, actually.
You put the groover on a hard deck?
Yeah.
That just seems like extra work for your guides.
I don't tell them to do it. I'm like, hey, there's all the stuff you need to figure it out. And they put it on the soft. It's not like me saying, hey, here's some ideas.
No, I mean, bringing the soft deck seems like a lot of extra work.
Versus just putting it on the floor?
Yeah.
Yeah, but when the Middle Fork's 155, you got to get stuff off the floor, even groovers. You don't want to take a chance of putting a hole in the boat. All right, let's move on. You're just killing it here. Hey, Fish Hands family, we don't fish, and so Fish Hands Frankie.
Well,
So I don't know any of my anchors. I don't
speaking
know.
for yourself,
All right,
Zach.
fishing
I'm
guide.
I'm now a fishing guide,
All right,
so
fishing guide.
I've been
So what do you
paid. I'm
got?
a paid fishing guide, but
All right.
yeah, we don't use anchors. We don't use anchors on trips I've worked. The one trip I've worked
You
as a
used to
fishing
admit, I
guide.
mean, I don't know anything about drift rafts or Midwest waters
Yeah,
or
that's a good. Those are
tornadoes.
really good questions and definitely outside of our scope. We really
Yeah.
don't know anything about anchors.
Yeah.
Maybe someone else here can throw some input there.
Peter, 100% agree. We were careful about it. I don't. Is that referring to some other comment then?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, thank.
Yeah. I think it. I would not get an aluminum drop thrower. Yeah, I like wood.
Wait, what? Wait, we'll go back there. So the aluminum drops are way better than the wood ones. Way better.
No way.
Way better. Oh yeah. Oh, 100%.
According to Peter, they get hot. So boom.
Well,
Hey, that's by the way, that's I get a spreadsheet win because Aaron and I disagree and Peter's views on
no,
this.
no,
So
no, no, no.
I get a
No, hold
spreadsheet
on.
win.
Peter made the comment, and no, Peter wasn't saying the difference between the two of us. I mean, Zach, when you go do a Grand Canyon trip, they all have aluminum frames, and you're just walking around on that aluminum, right?
And the drops, you're saying the drop floors are aluminum.
Yeah, the drop floor is not even. It doesn't even get as hot as the top. Is the what's the? Well, I'm going blank on that. The material with the. Oh gosh, like the real flat thin material that you can walk on that they put on top of those
The
frames.
diamond plating.
Diamond plate. Thank you. Diamond plating. Yeah, the diamond plating. The diamond plating doesn't get that hot on your boat, and the floor never gets that hot because aluminum conducts, and so the floor is almost sitting on the floor, and so it's got the cold water from the river on it. So I don't understand what he's talking about actually with that. Unless maybe when you're driving around, it gets hot.
It just seems like more. I don't like metal stuff. It's just like in the truck it rattles, and you have to weld it all the time. And
no,
like
see the aluminum floors are just super solid, and they don't break all the time. The wood ones you got to refinish, and then they break.
Yeah,
they're not nearly as good. We actually
the hardware store you buy wood. You just go buy wood and refinish some more.
Yeah, no, because we ran the wood for a long time and on Selway trips, and then Arda bought some aluminum. We were all fighting over aluminum ones because they were way nicer. The wood ones bend too, and so they don't hold the weight very well, and so they start to bend and like, yeah, no, that's nice.
How you make them. I disagree with you, Aaron, but whatever. So
wow.
A river goes in a Santa bag in the stern, spend off the tubes. What's this? Oh, a Santa bag is those big bags you just throw everything inside of, and you just zip it up, and they're good.
Those things are kind of cool.
No fuss. Yeah. No, Chuck, I have never used one, and if I was, it would be change for me, and I hate change. So I badmouth those Santa bags all the time, but they're probably pretty cool.
The only thing I dislike about the Santa bag is the closures on some of them. Like sometimes they do zippers and the zippers break, or you've got to refeed cam straps. The closures, having the right closure, I just feel like that can be a pain. But overall, I'm a fan of Santa bags.
But
I'm going to go back to, I don't think it matters if the Selway groover is off the floor or not.
It does on the middle fork at 155 or
yeah. Actually, you know what? I have on Grand Canyon trips, I've worked with some people who bring anchors along. Dory guides love their anchors for like holding boats off of shore. Yeah. Actually, Curtis Newell, he had one on a trip, and it was actually really nice to have it. He brought this little anchor, and you'd throw it out and catch some sand and pull us out, and we'd sail. Yeah.
Wood versus aluminum drops is not pins and springs number 2.
No, because aluminum drops are way better than wood. Way better. They last forever. They don't need to be fixed.
They'll need to be fixed. I guarantee.
Never. Have you ever used aluminum drops?
No.
But I've never seen a broken one. Never seen
everything aluminum breaks.
The Pro, get one from Pro. They're amazing. All right. Shout out to Pro there. Pro aluminum drops, way better than wood. Try one, Zach. I bet your guides will all be asking for them.
All right, I'll try. But I hear that, I don't know, according to Peter, they get hot. I don't know if I want to get hot.
They don't get hot if they're sitting on the floor. You know how they conduct. Unless the water is boiling hot that you're running on, they're not going to get hot.
All right. Yeah, thanks, Noel. Noel, I just did a trip with Super Kevin, who talked about you a lot. Do you see the rescue in North Santa? We have not seen that, Jared, I don't think. Rescue in quotes, huh? No, haven't seen that. All right, let's move on. We got some sweet boat footage. Willie Bum Bum said he was interested in this. I posted this video on Facebook last night. So you can watch it if you want, or we can just watch it here. And this is just me bragging. This is the shoots at 1.48. And we were the last, this is the last trip that launched at Boundary. Because as we were launching, the fire was happening. The closed Boundary launched for the past couple of weeks. So this is, I think, the lowest the Middle Fork's been run from the top this year. And I never.
Oh, wow.
The left. I've always gone right at the shoots in the sweep, and some other sweep boat drivers told me to try this left run. So this is me nervous about it. Like, can you really go left? If I'm stuck because there's rocks. And so right here, I tell my swamper to just let some air out of the back tubes. So we're just kind of stuck, and we were running the boat a little bit tight, and all we did was just let a little bit of air out of the tubes, and it comes off.
How many CFS do you think you're on right here, Zach?
400. At this point, I think it's 500 at Middle Fork Lodge.
What are you going to do down here? This doesn't look good. This looks like bad news.
I'm going to destroy it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to crush my way through here.
Did you have to train for this, like lift weights and stuff like that?
I did, yeah. The 3 weeks before I went out, I was lifting weights pretty hard. I knew I had to do this, so I was like, all right.
And what kind of shoes are you wearing there?
Those are my new La Sportivas. Somebody brought them up in the last show. I had bought some for hiking, and this morning I just put them. I'm like, I'll just wear them, and they're awesome river shoes. I think there's some downsides.
The La Sportiva, they used to have that. Didn't they used to have that really good canyoneering shoe?
It's not that one, but it's like somebody mentioned it. I forget what it's called. They're orangey looking, and I really did get them for hiking, and I just out of laziness, I left them on. I'm like, kind of like I wore flip flops that few trips a few weeks ago, and I'm like, I'll just leave them on. Then I did jump out. I'm like, you know what? They're not river shoes. And
so, yeah. Does it help to be bigger when you're like moving your weight around? It looks like a lot of what you're doing too is you're like throwing your weight back and forth. Like you're rowing too, but you're also like making the boat like wiggle back and forth. So does it help to be bigger as a sweep boat driver?
I think 100%. Taller for leverage, for also when you get stuck getting out and pushing. Taller and bigger is, I think, yeah, it helps a lot. It's a massive advantage. Like you can learn how to, like right here, I just yard like on that front, I'm a little bit stuck, and be able just to throw your weight and just throw some big sweeps. You have so much leverage. If you can throw weight behind it, you can move the boat a lot.
How tired are you at the end?
Probably like a little winded.
At the end of the day, you're not like sore. You don't get to just be like.
I was fine. I did 2 sweep trips in a row, and on like day 4 of the second one, it was catching up with me. And we had to fly it in the second trip, so that was exhausting. So, I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, I was fine, but the day after day after day it starts to get.
But you didn't fly the sleep in on this trip. Is that because the water got too low, or
no? So this trip, like I said, we were the last to launch from Boundary Creek. So there was a fire at Boundary Creek. Do you hear about that, Aaron?
No, did not.
So as we were driving to put in, that's it. That's the shoots. So as we're driving to the put in, even in Stanley, I saw like exactly where you think the river starts. I'm like, oh, there's smoke there. That's funny. I wonder why I've heard about that. And the whole drive, every turn, I'm like, wow, that's right where the put in is. And we get to Boundary, and as we're driving in, the Rangers are like, we're evacuating. I'm like, okay, can we still deadhead? They're like, I guess. And so we just we got there just in time where they were cool with it, and we got the sweep in, and we got the boats from the trucks into the water in an hour. While flames, you don't see flames, but you see massive smoke coming from Boundary. And we launched that night and went down to Gardell's.
Oh, wow.
So we were the last trip to launch. Like the other 2 trips that were supposed to launch that day got turned around by the Forest Service because they were like an hour or 2 behind. So we barely made it in. So then the road was closed for the next 8 days. And then they're doing this thing where you're allowed to I don't know, do this shuttle car thing at 5:30 in the morning, but it doesn't. I don't think many people have done it because the rules are really strict. And so then I got back off the river and it was closed, so we had to fly everything in because the road was closed. So the second trip we flew the sweep in.
But then this trip you didn't fly the sweep in.
Well, it's only a 9-person trip.
Ah.
So this last trip that launches tomorrow morning, we flew all the gear in yesterday morning, or yesterday afternoon. They're in Indian right now, like putting it all together, getting it ready, and they're deadheading Indy to Thomas, and then we're flying the guests in Thomas tomorrow morning. Just because it's like 143 or something. It's pretty low. And it's only 9 guests, so flying a sweep in for 9 guests is kind of insane. But they have to. But now they have like I said, they have the sweep has the groovers, has fog, everything. So now they have to figure out how to put all that stuff on the gearboats, and that's where those back decks are huge. For putting everything in the gearboats. I mean, going back to the aluminum thing, as I think about it, Aaron, they probably are cool. You're probably right. I want to disagree with you because I like disagreeing with you. I think the advantage of wood is you can just go buy everything. Like I'm in Salmon, Idaho. Let's say I want aluminum back decks for all my rafts. Well, I have NRS rafts right now that are a certain size, and I'm probably going to switch to high side rafts in a few years. They're slightly different, right? So, like if I want to go order the aluminum decks, I have to call Pro and give them very specific dimensions. And if they make 5 of them in the wrong, I now have 5 wrong aluminum back decks.
Yeah, but if you can have them be a little smaller, and it's fine.
Sure, I make them smaller. But then let's say in a few years I go to high side boats, and the high side boats have a different back geometry.
I wouldn't do it for back. I'm talking for in your well, in the well between your.
Oh, to stand on.
Yes.
Aaron, we've been talking about back decks the whole time.
I'm talking about to stand on in the middle.
Oh, come on. Anyway, what we were talking about is back decks.
We're talking about decks.
All right, whatever. So the nice thing about wood is you can change them.
Yeah.
And they're custom. You're like, hey, I
don't believe
here. I can go to the hardware store and make 5 of them for our current boats.
But I'm gonna go back. The only reason you need a back deck on your boat is if you're running a bucket boat. If you're running a self bailey, you don't need a back deck.
You're wrong, Aaron. You're wrong.
No need.
That's nonsense.
Yeah, no need. Unless you're putting like ammo cans and a bunch of metal.
Because you are.
Why? You don't need to.
They don't all fit on your raft. Where are you going to put them?
In the drop.
There's not enough room. You have stoves and you have propanes and fire pans and there's no fit in the drop.
It totally does.
You have lunch comm. You have toilet boxes.
Okay. You put it in your drop, or you put it in your well on the sides, on top of your aluminum floor.
It still is not room. What about all the La Croix? We've been bringing like 8 cases of La Croix on trips. Where does that all fit? You just put
it in a dry bag in the back of your boat on the floor.
A dry bag?
It's fine.
Put La Croix in a dry bag. You're gonna keep water dry.
Whatever. That's in a bag. Fine, in a mesh bag in the back of your boat. Put it in a mesh bag in the back of your boat.
To 8 cases of La Croix. I'm looking over there because I have a bunch of cases of La Croix. 8 cases of La Croix in a dry bag.
I'm gonna say this, Zach. I've worked a lot of 2-week trips with 30 people where we don't have that. We have people sitting in the back and the fronts of our boats, and everything goes in the drop, and drops or on the floor.
How many boats do you have?
Well, we used to do 5 boats, 20 guests, and 5 guides and 2 assistants. Is that right? Does that work out? 6,
5,
4, 16. Yeah, 22, basically 22 people and 5 guides is what we used to do.
For how and what size boats?
18s. It's nonsense. What part is nonsense?
Where do you put everything?
For a 14-day trip.
Where does all the food go? Where does
coolers, drops?
I don't know this. It's 5 oar boats.
4 oar boats, 1 paddle boat.
Aaron, that's crazy. So you're saying 27 people's worth of stuff and all the food goes in 4 oar boats, and you don't use the drop.
The paddle boat does have a bread box on it and has a little bit of drops.
I just launched a Mediocre trip with 9 guests for 6 days, and we have 4 oar boats, 3 oar boats.
Well, you're just clearly very inefficient.
All right, whatever. I'm giving this So,
I gotta say this. On Selway trips, we've got 16 total guests, and we usually run it with 3 gear boats and one paddle boat and straight paddle boat, and that's a 5 or a 6 day trip.
And you put nothing in your back deck.
Oh, we put in the back. We put just dry bags.
That's my point, Aaron.
We just put dry bags though. We don't put hard gear. Just dry bags. Just people's personal dry bags. We don't put any hard gear back there. Maybe one of those cool Selways will drop back there because it's just plastic, and then you're not worried about it. You don't need the deck.
You just put the Selway thing on the floor.
Yes, it's plastic.
Even at low water.
Yes. It's not that heavy. It's plastic. And the problem is when you have stuff like the cooler, where you've got the cooler tied down to the frame, and then the frame's tied down to the boat, so there's no give. The Selway, if you like tie it in back, and it can go up and down a little bit, but it's tied in, so it's not going to go falling out. If it can go up and down and give a little, it's fine. It's when stuff's tied down hard that I feel like it's the problem. And what's the difference between? And here's the difference. What's the difference between a wood deck on the floor?
Because it lifts it above the floor.
Yeah, so but the floor, you're gonna rock enough that you can't have it high. You're gonna have to have it way high so that the rocks never push the floor up against it. And then your weight's way higher, and you're not gonna run as well, and you can't fit the gear back there. That's right. Oh, I forgot. Hold on though. I forgot. Zach really likes to have these big loads that look like he's carrying a lot of gear. So back in the day, he used to lift his gear up higher to make it look like he had more gear in his boats.
Come on. You do the same thing. You do the same thing. You're just mad because I won. So, I mean, I'm with you because when I came to going from Tuolumne to like the Middle Fork, everybody did back decks. I'm like, why have all these silly back decks?
Yes.
I agree. I agree with you to a point. I just like right now I'm thinking how like if all of our gear boats we didn't have them, like we do have stuff that has to go on them. I'm trying like I remember thinking why are there so many back decks on the back of all these boats? And it does seem a little bit excessive. I think it's just what people have always done, so we stick with it. But we also like here, I mean, we have to run really soft floors a lot in the Middle Fork on low water.
Yeah.
And that's I think what you're saying what works is like if there's two things. If your floor is tight, I think what you're saying works with Selway groovers and bags. It works fine, right? But if your floor is soft, that's when things start getting weird with like, going over rocks and popping things. And
I'm going to say we still have more problems with is the coolers. The coolers are more of a problem in the boxes, like the big, the big boxes that you drop in front. We have more problems getting holes from the cooler and the boxes if you don't have a piece of foam underneath them.
But I think my other point is the boat runs better when the weight's on the tubes versus on the floor. So
yeah, well, I agree, but that's another thing is like it also runs better if you don't have a ton of weight in the back. So if you're putting that much weight in the back there, they should be light stuff like dry bags, like a groover right up against your cooler in the back, so it's not way back there. But you don't want a lot of weight in the back anyways, because then it's awful. And then that drop adds more weight. It's heavy. It's more stuff to rig, de-rig, maintain. I don't understand those. Like I have
guides. It's just that's what you do. You put it there. You have it no matter what. If you have nothing to put on it, they put it there.
Yes, I know. That's what I'm talking about. It's just like it's this automatic thing. Do you do it on the Illinois? No.
Actually, one of our guides thinks you have to have them, and so for some of our boats, he's 14-foot gear boats. He made what's like this big. Have you seen that one? It's like the cutest little back deck. And I'm like, all right. I don't even run the drop floor on that one.
No. Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's and I like the floor. I feel like it helps prevent me from slipping underneath in front. Like I feel like I have a little more secure with the floor in there to work off of.
Okay, Aaron, we can beat this to death. Let's move on.
We got some more questions.
More questions. Yeah, from the same guy these are supposed to be whole videos, but I can't do a whole video on these. We already did this frame setup. Where to put the dry box versus cooler versus drop bag, etc. You want to take this, Aaron?
Well, I think there's some variation on this. I'll say this part is like I in general like to sit on the cooler. I feel like the coolers typically don't have sharp edges on it. Like some of those metal boxes have sharper edges. And before we even go on that, Zach, what's your feeling? Do you like to sit on Paco pads?
I don't care.
I hate sitting on Paco pads now. You get like butt rot. You get like butt rot from them. Like you don't breathe.
Yeah,
and
we actually how many here? We have these like we don't like. I don't like sitting on pocket pads because it destroys the pocket pads, and pocket pads are expensive. But I have some yellow. I made some custom pocket pads the size of a cooler, so that we wouldn't have. You know, when you put a pocket pad on a cooler, you have to fold it in half. It's all flapping around everywhere. But our guy's like, no, you got to sit on a pad. My butt hurts if I don't. Right? I'm like, okay, I don't know. I can sit on a regular cooler.
I mean, I like that thin piece of material that's got a little lip on it that fits right over your cooler, and so it covers the corners and so
the white thing.
The white thing. It insulates well. But what we end up doing, because we have like so many pocket pads we had to bring on trips, and you end up having to sit on some, is we took those old Crazy Creeks and we put an old Crazy Creek on top of it, so you're sitting on the Crazy Creek, not on the Paco, and then your butt doesn't get all gross.
I don't mind sitting on a pocket. I don't know. The pocket pad makes you sit higher, and I want to avoid sitting higher. And so guys let them double up the pocket pad, and they're sitting higher, and I can just tell it affects their rowing. So I don't mind just sitting on the hard cooler, but I also don't mind sitting on a slant board either. Like my butt can handle it.
Well,
a lot of people like the millennials' butts can't handle it. They all need pocket pads to sit on to get down the river. But I think I don't sit on pocket pads. But what we've been doing lately is making sure all of our coolers have pads on them because we feel like that's protecting ice. So we've been doing
totally.
We've been doing cooler, and then what's that bag? The burlap sack that's wet for evaporative cooling with a pad on top to protect ice. And I think that way the pad absorbs a lot of the heat instead of the top of the cooler absorbing the heat. And the top of the cooler stays really cool.
I'm going to say something. I don't think the R value on Paco pads is very good. Have you ever noticed that? Have you tried to sleep on them on a cold day? It doesn't keep you that warm. It's not like a thermorest. The R value is weird on them. I feel like the material or something like that, it conducts cold and it conducts temperature a lot. Not as nice. Yeah, I'm not convinced on it. But anyways, going back, since this is kind of within the topic, I'm going to say I'm also a big fan of coolers that have straps that are adjustable. Like you guys used to run an Echo, so you could adjust the level of the cooler.
But and then not all adjustable.
And some are just like a like there's just a little like set of loops.
Sits there and you can't move it.
Yeah, and you can't adjust the height of it.
Sometimes you want to raise it for low water.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to adjust the height of your cooler. But I'm a big fan of sitting on the cooler. I like that. And I think it's like it's also like usually your cooler is the heaviest thing. And so where you're sitting, you want that weight. Like I like that weight just behind the pins there and just sitting on that. And then I like the box in front of me. If you're going to have a big silver box, have the silver box right in front. And it's also nice just to be able to work out of both of them. So when you're sitting in your bay, you can open your box, you can open your cooler and get into both of them very easily.
I think for the person shopping the food, they can stand on the deck and the cooler opens up into them. If it's in front of you, it might open. They have to like turn around. It's just easier for the person getting on the boats, grabbing the food, to access the coolers that way.
But it's nice, I feel like, when both open towards that area. Yeah. Like if you have a big silver
we use
box.
Boxes where the lid just comes off. So the food box, you can get to it from any side.
A lot of people, they got this silver box that goes all the way across, which is actually, this is something that, why am I going by Bruce Helene from Pro? He talks a lot about this. Is like how when you have multiple boxes, you lose a lot of space and you gain a lot of weight. And so just having one box going across is way more efficient. He also talks about like the side boxes, how people will run like a bunch of ammo cans next to them on the side versus having one big aluminum box is way more efficient.
Well, we use a lot of small boxes on our trips, and I understand they're heavier and they're less efficient, but they allow you to organize food way better and then like create trash receptacles better too, versus like if you have a big box, you have to empty the whole big box before you put trash. And and organizing things is really hard because you can't just throw everything in there and go rifling through it. It's like, hey, here's the dinner 1 box, here's the dinner 2 box, here's the dinner 3 box. Well, dinner 1 box becomes trash. So that's how we do it. But my low water Illinois Oahe setups, to save weight and create space, it's just one big box, and we just deal. And it turns out making an aluminum box this wide costs the same as making an aluminum box this wide.
Yeah.
Because the cost is in the workmanship, not the materials.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's crazy. Yeah. No, I think whenever you're possible, a bigger box. And then even if you do a bigger box, you can inside that box, hey, you can just have like little like those soft shopping bags, put stuff in like a light bag.
There's ways to do it.
Yeah.
It's just, when you're just crushing trips out week after week after week, it's just nice to have the organization. On the Rogue, they pull that dinner box up, and that box becomes the trash in camp. We don't do that in the Middle Fork, but it's then you just have like a trash box in camp, and that trash box gets rigged back in the boat.
Well, the Rogue,
back and forth.
The Rogue, you need to be inefficient because you have a lot of time, so you have to be inefficient to work on the Rogue. Like it's just like in nature, like you need to figure out something to do with your time.
Funny because we some of our road guides were on the Middle Fork last week, and we had this debate about whether or not to bring the box up. And the Middle Fork guides like, yeah, no, you don't bring the box up. And we had this long debate about it, and the answer was, on the Middle Fork, we leave the boxes in the boats, like civilized people. You guys can be savages on the Rogue and pull the boxes out all the time.
Okay, so going on. So we got basically in my mind, you've got the cooler you're sitting on, and then you've got your well area, and then you got the space in front where you can have a box. And then I'm a big fan of side boxes in your well, if you're doing it, because it keeps all the weight consistent, and then you can access stuff easily, everything in there. And then the question is the drop. Do you run the drop in front or in the back? And
or both.
Or both too, you can. And I'll say is like with the new NRS 18 footers, they're huge. You can easily run a drop in front and a drop in back. But I'll say with the old Avons, it was hard to get both in there. And so like working Grand Canyon trips, we used to run the drop behind us. Working in Idaho, we used to run the drop in the front and have no guests behind us. So I think it depends on where you have your guests. And so if we ran the drop behind us, the guests would sit on the tubes in the front, not, if that makes sense, they'd sit on the front tubes, and we'd have the drop. What? Does that make sense?
I mean, here's the thing, Aaron. Here's a philosophy I sort of have that I think is different. I don't like to put guests in the back of the boat.
Well, and I'm going to say this. This was I was going there with there. Idaho, I'm not as big a fan of running guests in the back of the boat. Like I've done it in Idaho. We did it on sailway trips, and it was our best option because 3 people in the front of the boat was terrible because it was way too much weight. You get sometimes you get 3 big dudes, and we just got tired of it. And it was just it was brutal. And they don't have a lot of space. But on desert rivers where you're not having to ship your oars, I'm not that worried about. We have to ship your oars often, and you could catch an oar. I don't like the people behind me.
I just don't like them behind me because it's awkward having them behind you.
They love it though. People love being back to the because they like watching you row and seeing what you're doing as you're going down. It's really fun. I had some long time on the outside tube behind you on outside tubes.
Here's the thing too is I also don't think people like sitting on the tubes. They like sitting on a flat, nice surface. I think people like sitting on a nice flat surface in the front of the boat, looking forward at what's coming. Like have an unobstructed view. That's my take, and that's what we do on our trips. We typically don't sit people behind us, and we typically don't put people on the outside.
Yeah, do you put 3 grown men up front though and stuff them up there like 3 big dudes? They don't like that either. They'd rather have space. That's the alternative.
I don't think we have to. We rarely have to do that because we have boat space. Like we have enough. I mean, we have it.
The other thing that I'll say is that when I'm having them sit on the front tube and in the back, usually is I'll put if I have the drop behind me and back, I'll run a stack of bags on top of that drop and back, right? Yeah. And so what they'll do is when we're just chilling out, they turn backwards, lean up against the bags, and sit on that outside tube, and they're chilling out, looking backwards, enjoying the view. And up front, same thing.
You just put a wall between you and your guests.
Well, it is a wall. It is a wall for multiple reasons. So that the throne
I don't want to talk to you.
No, they're right.
You behind me.
No, it's not it's not a Zach stack where it's up high where they can't even see them. It's it's like
an Aaron stack. It's an
efficient. Yeah, it's an efficient stack where it doesn't look like much gear. It's a humble stack where you're actually carrying a lot of gear. It's the humble stack.
Not a humble stack this is Aaron. Hey guys, there's 30 bags and 5 boats. I'll take 3 bags, please. You guys got the rest.
No. The humble is when I take 8,
Aaron,
and then Zach, you take 3 and make it look like there's a lot more.
8 bags will make a wall.
Okay. No, but going back to in all seriousness though, it's not so high they can't see over, but it just gives them a little space. And actually, sitting in the back's really comfortable. And what's really interesting on those Grand Canyon trips, so many days people don't want to ride in the front. They all want to ride in the back. They're like some days you can't get people to ride up front. Like they're just like, I just want to ride in the back. I'm tired of getting wet. I just want to hang out in the back. What? Oh yeah. Actually, the one time I flipped down there at Hermit was because I let 2 people sit in the back. I'm like, yeah, it's fine, dude. You can be the one guy up front. That's fine. And we totally. And I think if we'd had the 2 in the front and the 1 in the back, we probably would have made it okay. So, yeah, I'm a big fan. of it, and I like the boat rides better with 4 people all spread out than with the 3 up front.
Or you put weight in the back, like a river guy.
Yeah, I mean, we're carrying so much weight anyways, and the weight's just all in closer. It's all within that corridor.
Yeah.
All
right, let's move on. We have one more video to watch, and then.
What did Sean say about Johnny Partners?
Oh, I'll let you read it while I get the video ready.
Duran, Johnny Partner on South Baylor floor, back in Milford, plus bag, 7 of us, 414 boats, 6 days. Yeah, and I would say no issues. Yeah, Sean, that's cool. And I will say with the metal on the back, having said that, I will say like most of the time we don't have issues, but sometimes we do get, having done a lot of low water trips over and over again, and sometimes you do. And it's rare. And the Johnny Partner is probably not that bad either to rig to the floor. Actually, it's the same idea as now that I think about it, the cell weight.
Depends on what kind of boat. If it's a drop stitch Moravia, I'm probably like, whatever. But
oh god. Well, and how hard you run the floor too is a big part.
I mean, here's the thing too, Sean. Like, you're probably fine, but when doing 5 trips in a row and like over time and putting a hole in the floor sucks. You have to de-rig the whole boat, bring it up on shore. Repairing floors is brutal.
And sometimes if you're unlucky, it's a double. It's on boat. I've seen go all the way through both layers of material.
And patching under the boat on the floor. And are you going to wait for the glue to dry? Are you going to wait 20 hours? Or are you going to let's just run this and see what happens?
And then you get water in your floor, which is also
then if the batch comes off, you have to redo it the next day. Like putting holes in the floor is a massive bummer. It's something you want to try to avoid.
But it's not why you just put some tape on it and just away you go.
That's why I do it that way. I haven't put a hole in the floor in a while. I should not have said.
With how soft you guys run floors on the Milfork, why do you even have floors?
It's a good question. Oh, because sometimes we do high water. Like it's been a while. Love to see more. So fly fishing filmmaker. Let me ask this really quick. We have a lot of technique videos. I have a lot of YouTube videos out there, and people are like, "Oh, I want to see more of these videos." I have them. The tricky thing is you have to go find them. You have to wade through all of our videos to find it. They're there, and we'll definitely do more. So thanks for the comment, and we'll do more technique videos. But that's why we created an online rowing course last year. That it costs like $400. It's expensive, but we spent a lot of time and money building this, and so all of the videos are organized in a platform is designed to learn. And so like you'll find all of this information that we have if you search through all of our videos, if you have hundreds of hours to go through it all. But if you want it in a very organized way that's thoughtful and careful, and where we spend a lot of time to put it like step by step, check out our $400 online course.
You gonna throw a link in it, Zach? You gonna throw a link? Can you throw a link in real quick, or
it's whitewaterguidebook.com. Whitewatereducation.com. I'm not gonna throw a link yet. Maybe for another show, but it would be fun to visit the Airs Don't Track Standing. Did we make that this show or another show?
What do you mean? Like, yeah, we've here we go. I'm adding the link for you, Zach. There you go. Taking care of you.
Fishing filmmaker. Yeah, I don't have a ton of free time to make playlists, and we already did the online course. But if you made one and shared it with everybody, I bet people would love it. Or somebody wanted to. It'd be super cool. Do airs track? I don't know. What's the answer to that? They track or not
No,
track?
you know my feeling on that. They don't track at all. They're terrible.
Okay.
We've hit that one hard. I've hit that one
Okay.
hard. I'm not a
Okay.
fan of airs for
I think
tracking.
I think one thing about, do you think Moravia's track?
Better.
Okay. Well,
Definitely better.
I think there's something I've learned about Moravias, and I bet it applies to airs. If you deflate the floor a bit, they track better. And I bet that's the same with air. Like if you
Well,
let
definitely
the
with
floor
the drop stitch floor, that's definitely true. The problem with the airs, I don't think it'll work as well, is if you deflate it more, then there's going to be more water sitting in that floor. And the reason the airs don't track well is the floors are full of water. And so all that water is going where the water is going. So if you turn to track, the water, it's still.
I mean, here's the thing. And somebody wrote me kind of an email kind of lambasting me for some of the stupid things I say, which I'm not cool. I say a lot of stupid things, so please lambaste me. But one of the things he lambasted me for was saying that tracking isn't important. And I just think tracking's overrated. And I can say this because I just ran a sweep boat for 2 weeks where that's all you do is track, right? Like I track all the time, but like, I don't know, how important really is tracking? Really? Is it that important, Aaron?
Yes, it is. It's very important. I'm gonna say tracking is how well. I'm gonna say this: if you're built like Zach Collier, you don't need to worry about tracking. If you're built like Aaron Cavagnolo, you need to worry about tracking.
Can't you just row more?
That's exactly the point. It's about being efficient.
You like to go rafting but not work.
Yeah, that's my whole point. That's my goal.
Why don't we get
Put the minimal energy in to get the job done.
Let's get you a jet ski and take you to lakes. You're done, whitewater. Aaron.
That's why I want to be a motor guide. I'm a Grand Canyon motor guide. That's my dream. Oh, it's a windy day.
So Sean says, I think we're talking about the don't tracking. They don't, not really. They're great for draw strokes. So yes, they don't track. And then Justin Lee's got to disagree. So this is, whether airboats track or not is like that's like pins and clips versus Orlex number 2, I think. The thing about airboats is you either love them or hate them. There's not a whole lot of in between. They're the best thing ever made versus, they're terrible. And zippers are weird. 13-foot day in, day out, low water. Yeah, no, I'm sure, Justin, but do they track? That's the question. So like, you're probably used to them. I know the answer, and I don't really honestly care about the answer. And I don't even think tracking even matters. You just row more. But I think if you got into like a nice wing or what's another good boat, Aaron, other than wing?
Other than wing?
What's another good boat I can mention? If you had a nice boat and it tracks well, you'll probably be like, oh, whoa, this is sweet. You've just been running that same boat over and over and over. You're just used to it. But if you all of a sudden got in a tracking boat, you might like it. Yeah, maybe that's the point. Is I don't care about conserving energy. Like I'm out there to exercise too.
Zach, you want to be as inefficient as possible.
No, but I'm not going to.
So with your mountain bike, just make sure you never grease the wheels on that thing either.
It's just I'm not going to freak out about tracking.
It's not freak out. It's just kind of cool that the river does the work for you. And also, I think the most important part of tracking is when people use upstream ferries with heavy gearboats. It's so frustrating to watch them because you're like, dude, you're working against the tracking the raft. You're not making any progress. You're going the wrong direction.
Maybe that's why it's good that your boat doesn't track, so you can make those ferries.
Well, that's an interesting point. Well, I think you're just going to go with the river. The air. We know the air makes.
I think air should really push their seal flow more. I really think they should. I don't think people know this. That's a good point. Thank you. I'm Silver.
What should air do?
Push their seal. I don't think people know they have a sealed floor. I think they think they should be more like, hey, they should tell people more about the sealed floor. Because I think a lot of people probably prefer that sealed floor. Because everybody whines about them being full of water and heavier and carrying them and all the stuff. Here we go. Tracking the last percent. There's some tight stuff we were saying. I'm missing off. I mean, this is the thing. Is like I don't care about precise efficiency. Maybe that's the thing. I care about efficiency, but not precise efficiency. I'd rather just like get in the boat you give me and say, let's dance, and not be like, this boat sucks because it doesn't track. I'm like, no.
I mean, Zach, if you don't care about efficiency, why are you on the pins and clips?
I don't care about precise efficiency. The reason I like pins and clips is because I don't like tying my oar onto boats. I think it's uncivilized.
I thought you said it's easier to run the river.
It's more fun for me. It's easier to
I thought you
ship.
said it's easier, and that's why you recommend a lot of people do it. It's easier to pick up.
No,
It's
the
easier.
reason
You
why pins
always
and
know your
clips,
oars are going to be there.
yeah,
It's you always know what
it's
your
not more
oar's going to
efficient.
do.
I think a pin and clip is less efficient than a spinning. You're muscling more than you're like just doing your fine. Like you're not like with spinnings, you're in touch with the river. Like Mother Nature's like blowing wind on you perfectly, and you're like there's like river fairies and nymphs being like like all around on your shoulder, and you're like I'm just pushing these spinnings down the river. Pins and clips are more like Hulk Hogan, let's dance. Anyway, sorry, I'm on that's a tangent. Airs on tight, tough rivers and miss the mark by a few inches.
Yep.
I don't know, man. I think on tough rivers, my choice would be an air. I think we're like I'm on a tough river. I care more about making the move than being efficient. So like all this precise efficiency is like, hey, I want to precisely make my way down the middle fork, or I want to precisely make my way down like the Rogue or Gates of Lador or the Canyon or whatever. But like if I'm gonna go do the Illinois at $4,000, I don't care about precise efficiency. I care about making the line and being in a boat that's less likely to flip, or like the
That's
wind,
exactly
or
though. If the boat doesn't track well, it's harder to make the line. It's way harder.
no, you just use different technique and you use muscles, Aaron.
Yeah, you brute force it.
Yeah, I think having both, like people are like the best boatman can brute force and be precise. I think having both, that's true. Like you have the strength and
Did
you
you
have the
say
precision.
boatman? Did you say
Both,
boatman?
I did. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's appropriate for the brute force side of things.
But I
Oh
think
yeah.
the best paddlers have both the precision boating
Guides?
and the brute
Guides?
force. No, because it could be. They're not. They can be private boaters.
They're still guiding the rafts.
Okay, guys, whatever you want to call them.
Okay, but anyways, let's go. I'm just gonna say this. I think a boat that reliably tracks and you know how it's going to respond, it's nice. And you point in a direction, it goes in that direction
I
without having
agree, Aaron.
like
I 100% agree. It's really nice. It's pretty cool. Having just run a sweep for 2 weeks, that's what sweeps do. They track. If they didn't track, you get stuck the whole time. I just
yeah.
spent 2 weeks tracking. I agree. I just think people get too uptight about tracking. And like if a boat doesn't track, oh well, we'll deal with it.
I feel like a lot of people don't even understand tracking. I have more problems on that end where people don't even think about that aspect and don't get it.
All right, we have a lot of
And
hate
they're
comments
and
here, Aaron. So
they're
we're
just
gonna catch up with our hate comments. You're
okay,
right, they
cool.
don't get it.
Actually, I think they're all love comments from what I'm
Okay, I have an
seeing.
old Puma that started on SOTARs. This tracking messes up your time. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I
The thing
agree. I agree.
about airs,
Jane,
you either love them or hate them. There's not like and I'm in between. I'm the in between. I own one air raft, so I have no dog in the fight.
I like the Puma. The Puma's a fun boat. It's a
Street
great
back
boat.
injury and can't brace my legs. Boom, done. Yep. Thanks, Andrew. You're a hero. You're a gentleman and a scholar. Every day is arm and chest day on the river. I push them. Yeah, I agree, man. It is, dude. It is arm and chest day out there. And if I just
Do you guys oil up? Do you guys do the Arnold? You guys oil up out there?
I
Sun's
want
out,
to.
guns out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sun's out, guns. I agree. I just did a trip with Super Kevin, and every day was for him was arm day, chest day, squats, legs day. He was doing lots of squats. Kevin loves a squat. I mean, yeah, I'm not there to get that workout, not to just like look at birds. All right. I do like looking at birds. All right, Bruce, what do you got? Seems like heavier the boat and deeper it is in the water. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. I think the heavier boats, though, they do track. They track more, though, too, I feel like those heavy boats to a point. Like a heavier boat definitely tracks real well usually because you got those two tubes in the water and it goes in the direction that it's setting.
And I just ran 2 different sweeps. The first one was front loaded, and the second one was evenly loaded. And the front loaded sweep tracked way better than the evenly loaded sweep. I think front loaded helps you track.
Oh, totally. Oh yeah, yeah, because it keeps Thanks, David.
Aaron, I'm not going to ever admit that. How dare you? Every day is back day on the snake. Is that because you're pulling?
It's because you're pulling downstream, I guess. You're turning around and pulling into the wind or something. Oh, that sounds terrible.
Back, yeah. Huh. We were R2.
Really, with the Puma?
I would. The Puma's too small.
I think the Puma's great on giant captive Mount Floyd. That's I think hear that and be like, oh, that would be a fun day. I'm surprised to hear you say that.
I mean, at like 600 CFS.
Yeah, up to like maybe 600 to 1,000. Yeah, I'm surprised, Sean, you had a bad day on your Puma.
I wouldn't Puma above 600. It has to be bony, but a 13-foot air, like the 130R.
Were you doing Sean, were you Pumaing? Were you sitting next to each other, or were you sitting one front, one back, opposite? Because I don't think that works as well. I like sitting next to each other.
And I mean, you can't also blame the boat for your bad lines. Like, hey, I had a bad day in the gap. It's because the airs suck. That's
well, I mean, it's like blaming your paddlers.
Yeah.
Oh, good, Sean. Glad you're enjoying
All right, we have one more video. We got to call us. I got to drive me Stanley.
All right. Are we done with the questions? Are we done with the questions?
No, there's one more. We'll get to it. So speaking of airboats, this looks like an air. It's the E series where the front end's pointing, the back end square. So this looks like a 130E, which I mean, the reason I believe it airs is because like Dan McCain and Jeff Compton and a bunch of those dudes, Josh Sheldon in the Gorge, they're running the biggest stuff in airs.
Yeah, they're running waterfalls. They're running waterfalls
and other big stuff. And I think they're just crushing in the airs. So this is Greenwall, one of my favorite rapids. I'm sure Aaron's favorite rapid too. Both. This is the entrance. It's a beautiful run.
This is really nice. This is amazing footage here, Zach.
I watched this quickly, and my only concern is where's safety? Right? Like if they fall out right now, what happens? And I know they probably won't because they're awesome, but like, what happens if they fall out?
But Zach, what's safety going to do for you right here?
A throw bag, right below them there, just in case. Maybe a boat in an eddy. Maybe running two boats together. But like, it might do something. You don't want to fall out there and swim the whole thing, or you at least want to have a chance. Like, see that rock on the left? Having a throwback there is kind of nice, just in case.
I will say this: if there's not a boat at the bottom, I hope there's a boat following right behind them.
I'd be okay with that, but I don't think there's a boat following behind them.
That part is if there doesn't look like there's a boat at the bottom and there's no boat following.
Do you ever take that line?
This line, yeah, I used to do it all the time. Yeah. That used to be my go-to. I didn't think we used to even go farther left sometimes at high water.
That's my point. Is like I don't take them that. I usually see that like next line over to the left, that really techie line.
Yeah.
I like that line because it's harder, but I feel like there's less chance of a mistake. Or the far left, depending if there's enough water. I've never taken that drop right there.
I know that drop we used to do a lot. Actually, the first time I ever did it with Dan Martin and John Brick and all those guys, that's the line we all took, was that line.
There's just a kind of a steep hole there, and and you can get surfed over in the hole behind that rock.
It's nice. It's really slow right behind there, and it's just kind of nice. You got time. This is still pretty low. Like as it gets higher, then you gotta go farther left because that hole gets really sticky where they are. But this flow, that's a nice spot to go.
If I can go farther left, I will. This is a nice.
I like going way over there too. I like this guy's line. This line's great. Yeah, just going over the junk slop over there.
Hold on. I've hit that rock before going that far left, gotten too far left, and bounced into the hole and surfed the hole. That's a nice job missing the hole.
Nice line. Yeah. So H2, that looks like an H2O Patagonia, H2O, like what's that company called on the South Fork? Soleil's company, right?
Yeah.
That looks like the Soleil's company boat.
And I'm sure there's a private trip. It's not a private trip.
Yeah, totally.
But I think Aaron, watching this, one thing I noticed when you sent this to me is they're flying a drone. Unless somebody's really good at, no, that's not possible. Like they have a zip line or something. And my thoughts are we're in the Kamloops wilderness where drones aren't allowed. Yeah. And so I just want to bring it up to everybody. Like it's cool footage. It's fun. It's a great angle to see the rapid and instructive. But like in wilderness, you're not allowed to like launch or land drones. And I think it's a good chance to mention that to everybody. Like on the Middle Fork of the Salmon, the Frank Church, on the Rogue, it's very complicated. But why because the wilderness there is very complicated, but probably shouldn't be flying drones in the Rogue. The Wahi is technically okay, but I feel like we all should understand what wilderness is, and if we're in a wilderness, then we shouldn't be flying a drone. That's just my soapbox.
Yeah. So but Zach, I mean, what's the spirit of it? You don't want to interfere with other people's experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not. If they're the only ones out there, does it really matter?
Yeah.
Then I'm going to ask you another question. Do you take your electric toothbrush on Illinois trips?
No. Do you?
I've seen them out there a lot, and I laugh every time I see them. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that doesn't fall the wilderness protocol as having an electric toothbrush.
No, so like, well, first of all,
because you're not supposed to have electric. You're not supposed to have electric drills. You're not supposed to have anything like that. So you're not supposed to like what?
Aaron, the Wilderness Act specifically says no mechanized transport.
It also says it says more than just mechanized transport.
No, it doesn't. That's the specific line this comes from. So like, that's why.
So chainsaws are allowed. They're not though. Why aren't they?
I think chainsaws are specifically not allowed for some reason. But the big thing is
I think it's chainsaws in particular. I thought it was.
No, because you can have motors. You can have things like. I mean, an oar is all technically mechanized transport.
No, not motorized. Motorized. There's difference. You can manual.
No, it says mechanized. It does say mechanized. That's why you can't have a wheelbarrow or a bicycle, because those are not motorized; they're mechanized. So, but the thing is, beyond the Wilderness Act, every wilderness area has its own like management plan and set of rules based on that place, right? And so, a lot of times they'll define the size of an electric motor based on the battery size. So like you can have an electric toothbrush, but you can't have a pump for a shower, right?
Oh, really?
Or, so like right now blowers are a hot topic on the Middle Fork because everybody's flying in. Do blowers count or not? Like that wasn't the management plan. And so our electric blowers okay, which they probably aren't, right? So, but like a drone is mechanized transport. Right, and it's been in I think in case law or something. It's just basically they've been figured out that they're not okay in wilderness everywhere. So like in some wildernesses you can maybe have an electric blower, where some you can't based on the management plan. It's pretty standard that any wilderness area you're not supposed to land. You can fly drones over wilderness, you just can't land or take off.
Oh really? Yeah. So again, wait. So what did you just say? You can what?
You can fly drones in wilderness. You just can't land or take off from wilderness.
So as long as they're flying, you're okay. I mean, now, what about what about this? What about like on the Selway? You're allowed to fly. You're allowed to fly into those airstrips on the Selway and land. Could I fly my drone from the landing strip?
That's a good question. I mean, airplanes and jet boats are grandfathered in because those uses existed before the Wilderness Act and before the areas were designated the wilderness. I mean, the Wilderness Act specifically calls out airstrips and jet boats in the act, and then like in the Frank Church, for example, and probably the same for the whatever wilderness it's always in. Like it specifically says in the plan, airstrips and jet boats are allowed because it never would have passed. It never would have been a wilderness area because all the jet boaters and air people would have freaked out. So like an example is the Indian, you can land on an airplane, but you can't use a wheelbarrow to get the stuff from the airplane down to the river. We use a sled, right? So it's weird that you can have an airplane, but you can't have a wheelbarrow. But it's because that use existed before the wilderness, so it's allowed.
So you're saying it sounds like drones are just out. Yeah,
drones are just out. And so like my just general take is that like if nobody's around and you use it, you shouldn't. But if you did, don't. If you did, like let's say they're every day on the trips, like we're gonna fly a drone, like screw everybody. Maybe not advertise it. Maybe don't throw it on Facebook, not on whatever, Instagram or the YouTube, right? And I'm not being mad at these people because I like them. I like H2O Adventures a lot. They maybe just don't know, Right. They're just like, oh yeah, we're doing Illinois. Let's get some killer drone footage. I think that's why I want to. It's just good reminder to the world that like, we shouldn't be using drones in wilderness areas.
Yeah, and posting it on YouTube.
Yeah. Can you fly a drone from a jet boat? Probably not. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't know.
How about a kite? Could I use a kite? Could I attach like a
It's not
camera to a
mechanized.
kite?
Yeah,
So I could.
that'd be great. They should fly a kite behind them and get the. Maybe that's what they did.
Okay.
That's probably what they did. They're probably a string we can't see that's flying on a kite, and that's exactly what they did. That makes.
What about a glider? What about a glider where you walk to the top of a hill and throw the glider off?
There's not a lot of wilderness. Gliders aren't. If I remember right, they're not a lot of wilderness. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they're not. All right, let's power through these last questions and move on.
Okay.
And I gotta go. So let's take 5 minutes and leave. I'll start with the easy one. Doggy PFD review. We don't know. So can't help there. I have a dog.
What do you mean? Zach, don't you take your dog on?
Yeah, I have a dog and I have a doggy PFD, but I can't say whether it's good or bad. It's my dog.
Does it work?
Yeah, my dog floats in it, and it looks cool. But my dog isn't gonna like bark at me and tell me how much she likes the PFD, so I can't make a doggy PFD recommendation. I get the one that's the rough wear one, and I just like it because they look cool. Most used knots for rafters.
The cam strap.
That's lame.
I'm gonna say didn't we talk about this on another show once?
Probably, but that's the problem. People don't watch all of our shows, so we have to.
Yeah, they don't listen to all of our ranting.
You should watch all of our shows we've ever done before asking questions.
Maybe we need to leave little like secret answers to secret questions in different episodes, so they have to answer the questions first.
Aaron, I got to go answer the question.
All right, bowling. What else? Figure 8. Yeah, water knot. Yeah, sounds good, Chuck.
That's my 3.
Yep, that's it. Yep. Sounds good. And a trucker hitch. Throw the trucker hitch in there just because trucker hitches are fantastic.
Those 3 are critical. I think a trucker hitch can be replaced by a cam strap, so you can but I think
there's a lot. There's another critical ones. How do you tie your raft off to shore?
2 half hitches on a bite.
2 half hitches. That needs to come with too.
You could do it with the bowl in.
Yeah, but it suck. Yeah, you need 2 half hitches.
I think those are the primary ones. I think if I was looking for 3 that everybody had to know, and then the next set would be trucker's hitch, taut line hitch, which if you know a taut line hitch, you can do 2 half hitches, and a butterfly.
Butterfly is nice.
Butterfly's
I never use the taut line hitch.
I use it all the time. How do you set up tarps, Aaron? If you say
trucker's hitch,
I'm gonna lose my mind.
Trucker's hitch.
What a Boy Scout are you? Let's get into this later. I gotta go. DIY groover options.
Oh God! Oh, bad idea.
Don't DIY groover.
Honestly, if you're thinking DIY, what's the ones that they do where you have the little bags and you supposedly can throw them in the trash? What? Wag bags. Yeah, wag bag. DIY is a wag bag. That's your best option. Yeah.
Do not poop in the bags. Do not do all the things Aaron used to do when he was younger. Just get yourself a Selway or wag bags, or if you want some other groover, do that too. That's fine. But Selways are by far the best. I'm not going to argue about it. Okay, boat. This is going to take a little longer, but we're going to give this 3 minutes. Boat ramp etiquette for newbies and veterans.
Well, we talked about that in detail a couple episodes ago. So you got to go back to. Didn't we? Is that even in the title of that one?
No, but we talked about it. This is where.
Man, that's a hard one. That's not a quick one.
Be thoughtful as a guide and outfitter, because anything I'm going to say is going to piss somebody off.
Be thoughtful. Yeah. Share. Don't just drop your stuff all over the place. Keep your stuff consolidated.
Do unto others as how's that go? Do unto others as you like them to do you.
Exactly.
Share with others. Be nice. Smile, and recognize you might be there for an extra 10 minutes.
I'm gonna say this. It's everything you learned in kindergarten.
I forgot a lot about what I learned in kindergarten.
Yeah, it's everything you learned. Everything you should have learned in kindergarten. Yeah. Oh, remember those OA ones? They had one that leaked. The little thing that they had the screw on the side.
I think one advice, I don't know if we talked about this last time with boat ramp etiquette, it's just be considerate and don't take a bunch of space. But if you're on a trip where the last mile is easy, start unrigging as the last mile. Like untie all your little dangles. Like, like with those of you that run spinnies, you have to untie your oar leash. Like just slowly start. So you show up to the ramp, like kind of undone. Those of you that like park your boat and like slowly walk up to your car and like check your email and then drive your car down and then slowly untie all your knots for 3 hours. That hog is the system. And so if you can show up kind of ready to go and start de-rigging in your brain half an hour before you get there and like think through what has to get done, I think that helps. If you show up to the takeout and then you immediately switch to takeout mode, you're going to be there a lot longer.
The goal, I think you've got a great point. When it's a busy takeout and there's lots of boats there, your goal should be beat everyone out, be faster than everyone else. And so, but not in a mean way, in a good, spirited, competitive way. Because usually that means you're taking up less space, less time, you're more efficient. And so, beat Zach. That would be my
That could be me. I mean, probably
lunch
over. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Sean. We're out here too.
Sean. Yep.
Aaron, you want to close? Hey, I want to thank everybody for all the great comments, and I think Aaron was on kind of a tear today, so I want to apologize for Aaron.
A tear. I was great today. I was slaying it today. I feel like this is one of my best shows ever. I think it should be Aaron's amazing and Zach's mediocre video review show now.
I mean, Aaron, I have to admit, I think you're really the star of the show, and I'm like the sidekick.
No, not at all.
Robin.
No, I'm your comic relief here for you.
I'm the sidekick. I got a nice little video or an email from somebody the other day just saying how you're right all the time. Like, oh, Aaron was right here, Aaron was right here. It's like, whoa. I need to rethink my life.
You guys could just send those straight to me because he doesn't usually share those with me. I never saw that one. Anyway, so if you do have, speaking of that, if you do have videos you want to share or stuff, your questions, comments, send them to me, Aaron@riversandOceans.com. And that's, and I can pass it up along to Zach too, or you can reach out to him directly. But we love getting videos from y'all, and we're getting towards the end of summer, so hopefully it's got some good footage that we can look at. Thanks for all the comments. Next week, are we back, Zach?
We're back, baby.
Okay. It's gonna have to be a fast episode next week, though. It's gonna have to be, So, if you haven't done so, please like the show. Zach, how many followers are you up to now?
I don't know. I'll check next week.
Yeah, Zach needs more followers. His ego, help his ego, get more followers. Yeah, and then like, share, and then what's the other thing? Ring the bell so you can get notified anytime Zach puts anything new online. But hey, Zach, really fun show today. Thanks for putting together all this footage for us to watch. Good time.